This is J. Krishnamurti's second public discussion in Saanen, 1974.
What shall we talk over this morning together? Beg your pardon? Would you talk about celibacy with regard to the mind?
Why is it so?
And that's all.
What is the quality of mind, state of mind,
What is?
which is able to and how does it come?
What is the?
What is the quality and state of mind which is able to look, really look?
What is the quality of the mind that is able to look?
And how do you become
Yes.
that mind? Why is it so difficult to get rid of attachment?
Why is it so difficult to get rid of attachments?
Could we discuss the nature of confusion?
Come on.
Could we go into confusion?
Could we discuss confusion? The relationship between thought and feeling. Yes.
I'd like to get into the problem of attachment with respect to relationships with men and women.
Attachment, same thing problem between man and woman.
Another aspect of it is respect for children.
I beg your pardon?
Respect for children. In the upbringing of children, there's no attachment between parents. And this allow a child to be brought up without conditioning. Freedom.
I don't quite understand.
If there's no attachment between parents, does it destroy the traditional idea of marriage if we're no authority?
I see. If there is no marriage as legally accepted, would there be attachment between the two, and what is the relationship of the parents to the children? My Lord. Shall we go into all this? Or do you have some other questions? And I don't. Wait a minute, sir. Beg your pardon? What? If thought is matter, as we have said, is intelligence different from thought? How can the mind observe itself without the desire for security? Now that's enough questions. why is it so difficult to be free of attachment? And what is the relationship between celibacy and mind? What is it that observes apart from the mind? And is intelligence different from thought? Shall we take up some of those questions?
Clarify my question. My question was in two parts. First of all, there's a definite relationship between nutrition and celibacy.
Between?
Between nutrition and celibacy. As an effect,
Nutrition.
as nutrition affects the mind, there's a direct relationship which I understand between nutrition and celibacy as it affects the brain.
I don't quite understand your question, sir.
The question is whether or not celibacy is necessary from a purely psychological.
Is celibacy necessary psychologically? Right. So which do you want to discuss? Or can we include in one question all these other questions?
How is it possible to overcome fear of eventual annihilation of all what has been living, struggling, and working for just by observation?
Madame, je n'ai pas compris. I didn't understand, sorry.
How is it possible to overcome fear of eventual annihilation of all that one has been striving to
I see. How is it possible not to observe without fear all the things that one has built throughout life and face annihilation? What's that? Quoi?
Vous avez parlé souvent de l'observation et vous dites qu'il y a un plaisir d'observer.
Je n'ai pas dit ça. You have said that in observing there is a pleasure. I didn't say that. Sorry. So, now wait a minute. That's enough questions if you don't mind. Now, which question will include all the others? Is psychological celibacy or physical celibacy necessary for psychological health, well-being, freedom, and so on? Why is it so difficult to be free from attachment? Can we take that question of attachment and work through that, answer the other questions? Can we? May we? I think that would be. Should we do it? Why is the mind so attached to things, to ideas, to ideals, symbols, family, name, and so on? What is attachment? What is the meaning of that word, to be attached? Please, as we said yesterday, this is not a talk by the speaker. We are together as friends who are serious, considering human problems. And it is not an intellectual entertainment, a discussion, an argument of opinions. We're trying to find out the truth of the matter. And to find that out, You have to share in it. You can't just listen to the speaker. So we are together taking a journey in understanding these problems. When we use the word understanding, we mean not intellectual or verbal, but an understanding that takes place when we are serious and examining, and from that, action. This whole process is understanding, right? Now, we are asking, why does the mind is so attached to ideas, opinions, values, people, houses, furniture? I used to know a friend in old days who was very fond of a particular table. It was a very, very old table. He used to polish it every day. And you could only touch it with kid gloves. And all his activity and his thing was around that table. He was that table. And aren't we also like that? It may not be a table, it may be a house. It may be an idea, a symbol, an experience, a person. Why is the mind attached? The meaning of that word attached, to attract, hold on, to cling to totally rely on somebody. Why? I understand. Now please, when we are examining, don't immediately, if I may suggest most respectfully, answer. We have got to look into this problem. We have got to look into ourselves. If you are attached, aren't you attached to your symbols? To an experience? To a particular desire? What you think and be attached to what your ideas, ideals, aren't you? To your nation, to your background, all the rest of it, tradition. Now we are asking, how does it happen that the mind is so caught up in this? See, this is a very difficult problem, very complex. So don't just say, yes, it is this. Man has tried not to be attached. And so therefore, he has cultivated detachment. That's one of the demands of any orthodox religion. Be detached from the world, from sex, from women, from drink. Detached, so that you can give your energy to the service of God or whoever it is. You understand? This is a very complex problem. And if you are serious, if you really are interested in it, one has to go very deeply to find out why the human mind, throughout the ages, have maintained these two principles, have lived these two principles, attachment and the cultivation of detachment. All the monks throughout the world tries to be detached, have taken vows of poverty, vows of celibacy. Why this extraordinary phenomenon of attachment and detachment has not been solved by people, you understand? We are still talking about it after 10,000 million years. Why is the mind so incapable of freedom from either? That's what our inquiry is. You understand? When we ask why, we are not, as we explained yesterday, trying to find out the cause. Please let's understand this carefully. May I go into it, or? The analytical process is to find the cause and eradicate the cause. And in the process of trying to find out the cause of attachment, the mind is still caught in another motive. Isn't it? I want to find out what is the cause of attachment. The motive of that examination is to be detached in order not to have pain. I am attached to you, and you turn to somebody else, and I feel hurt, angry, jealous, hatred, bitter. And I try to find the cause of that. And in trying to find the cause, I still have a motive. So the motive is much more important than the cause. You have compris? You understood? Not the cause, but the motive that seeks the cause. All right? Is this clear? So, when we ask why it seems so difficult for the mind to be free of attachment. Now, in examining, have we a motive? You understand? The motive being, we want to be free of it. We want to go beyond it. Because we have suffered a great deal through attachment. We know all the pains of attachment, the loneliness of attachment. So, in inquiring into it, my motive is to go beyond it. So a mind that has a motive has a direction. Right? Right? And that direction distorts examination. Right? Have you understood, sir? No? If not, please, I will go at it because I feel responsible to help to put this clear. So in inquiring, any motive is a distorting factor. And therefore one never sees the truth of attachment. Therefore freedom from it. Then is this clear? Andiamo. Avanti. What's that? What is one to do if there is a motive there? You understand? If the motive exists, what am I to do with it? You can't do anything about it. But if you are really seeking to understand and to understand this whole business of attachment, the imperative necessity to understand attachment pushes away motive. I want to understand completely what is the structure and nature and the drive of attachment. And if a motive prevents that understanding, I put it away. Naturally. Bene? Because my intention, my responsibility, my drive is to understand attachment. And if anything comes in the way of that understanding and action, I naturally put it aside.
Where does the drive to understand come from?
Where does the drive come to understand? Do you want me to answer that question? One moment. Wait, let's see. Are you answering that question?
Where does the drive come from? Is that not a desire as well?
So look, don't you want to understand attachment? Why?
Probably because I wanted to do away with fear.
So your motive is to do away with fear, not the understanding of attachment.
That would be the original motive, yes.
So when you have a motive, will you understand attachment?
So the motive becomes sublimated somehow.
And, yes, all right. Motive doesn't exist. So you are concerned with attachment.
Isn't there a second motive when you want this desire to, or this drive to understand what is behind that?
So I'm showing it to you, sir. This person asked, why is it so difficult to be free of attachment? And we are trying to find out whether the mind can be free of attachment. And we are saying, if there is a motive in any action, in any investigation, that action and that examination is distorted, right? If I have a motive to be friendly with you, I am not friendly with you. If I say I love you and I have a motive for that love, I don't love. So, motive or the examination of a cause are the same. So please listen, can the mind be free of motive in examination, in investigation into the problem of attachment. Say, for instance, I'm greatly interested in the ending of sorrow, if it is at all possible. And I have no motive. I just want to understand it. Because I see human beings suffer, and I want to find out. And therefore I have energy. You understand, sir? A motive vitiates energy. The energy that I need to understand, to investigate, is wasted when there is a motive.
When you say you want to understand, the question automatically arises, why?
And I don't. I have no why. I want. You're merely holding on to words, if I may. We'll go into this a minute later. Now we're asking, can the mind be free of attachment? Now, to go into that, you need energy, right? All your energy you need. And if you have motive, that's a wasting of energy. See, I need complete energy to understand attachment, and therefore I mustn't waste that energy in finding out the cause or the motive. Now I've got that energy because I have no motive. No, not the analysis of a cause, right? I don't want to find out. I'm observing. I don't know what comes beyond, what lies beyond. You follow, sir? I'm just observing the map of attachment, as we did yesterday, the map of fear. I just observe this map. There's no motive in it. Now, are you like that? That you have no motive in looking at this map of attachment? So, first see it, if you verbally, if you understand the meaning of these words, then see it intellectually. You understand? Then see if you can go beyond the verbal intellectual comprehension. Because the problem is that you are attached to your wife ideals and all the rest of it. Now, being attached, what happens? I am attached to my ideals. One is. Then what takes place? I am attached to that. Then what takes place? What's up? Without attachment, there is no sense of direction. And your attachment gives you a direction. And what is the result of that direction? Un momento. Lei, are you answering that gentleman's question? Bene, avanti.
There's one
believe I am attached, I am in trouble. That is what happens.
No, sir. The gentleman asked, attachment gives you direction. If there is no direction, there is confusion. Therefore, you are attached. Attachment gives direction. And without direction, there is confusion. So I am attached. I am attached.
We are expecting that it's a necessity to be direct.
Yes, yes. Does attachment give direction and to avoid confusion? Or you are confused, therefore you are attached. Not the other way around. Please don't accept anything, but let's look at it. The gentleman says, I am attached, and that gives a direction to my activity, to my responsibility, to my action. And without that direction, I am lost, I am confused. So, does direction give you order? Does direction free you from confusion? Let's put it that way. Beg pardon? What? Non capi. I can't hear, sir. Huh? What? Confusion exists between two directions. You are making it all so complicated. Let's be a little bit simple.
Confusion will exist because the direction obviously relates to the future which does not exist. Therefore, confusion will follow.
Obviously, sir. Look, you have a direction and another has a direction. The Arabs have a direction and the Jews have a direction. And so on, so on, so on. So what are all these directions bringing about in the world? Confusion. No? So please, one wants to understand what is the nature and structure and function of attachment. And we are saying very simply, if you want to examine anything, if you have a motive, you blind yourself. You don't look clearly. That's simple, isn't it? The intention is to understand attachment, not my motive. May I go on? No, I'm using different words, so please. Sir, don't you want to understand attachment?
I have a motive. I'm here, I have a motive.
Yes, you have a motive. Of course. You're all here because you have a motive. That's understood. But, so what is your motive? Why are you all here? All right. Why are you all here?
We are all here because we want to be there.
You are lying down, sir. You're not paying attention. Sorry, sir. I don't want to hear what you've said.
Why?
No, you have said a lot of things. Please, sir.
Isn't it valid what I said?
Afterwards.
It's related to the
Please, would you please listen to what I have to say? What is the motive for your being here?
Is there a motive in looking together at the working of the mind, the attachment of the mind?
If you have a motive, look, I come here to understand what the speaker is saying. And the speaker says, don't understand what he is talking about, but what he is talking about is yourself. So understand yourself. Right? Understand yourself. And to understand yourself, don't have a motive. That's all he's saying, all the time, in different ways. In the understanding of yourself, you come upon this problem of attachment. And you see what attachment does. Pain, suffering, a sense of loss if somebody goes away and so on. So, you are trying to understand attachment in the understanding of yourself. Now, why is I'm using the why not because to reason, cause. I'm asking that as a process of investigation. Why is the mind attached? Why is your mind attached? Attached to an ideal, attached to a nationality, attached to a person, attached to your experience, attached to your God, to your opinion, and so on. Why does the mind cripple itself with all these attachments? Huh?
It's my natural process of life. But I don't know. I cannot have an answer to your question.
We are going to find an answer. I can't just say, I don't know, and just leave it. I must find an answer.
Which kind of answer? In words?
In reality, not in words, so don't go back to all that. Because just verbal explanation is nothing. So, I want to understand whether the mind can be free from attachment. And I ask then, why is the mind attached? What is behind this attachment?
Isn't the basic structure of society dependency?
We're going to find out, sir. Come on. Yes, you need security, therefore you're attached. Oh no. Come on. Huh?
The lady says one does not dare to stay alone.
So, you are attached because you are lonely. Is that it? That's one of the reasons, isn't it? please, let's go into this. Are you tired this morning? That's one of the reasons. Psychological conditioning by the society. The society is what we have made of it. What human beings have made of it. Yes. And we are part of that mankind that has made the society. We are part of it. Therefore, that society is me. I am not separate from that society. Or the culture, the education, the religion is me. I have created that. So, I see one of the reasons of attachment is this sense of desperate loneliness. Right? Loneliness. No, don't just brush it aside. You people are too clever.
Are there many reasons? Are there many reasons you are investigating for, or the root? The only one reason?
We are coming to that. So first, look at the reasons. Just look at it, and then we will come to the root of it.
The reasons are in our mind, and when we are not free of our mind, then we are attacked.
Also,
The reasons are in our mind.
we have to use our mind.
When we are not free of our mind, then we are attacked.
We have got to use our reason and go beyond reason. We can't just say reason doesn't count. Not for that.
Is life worth living without devotion to worthwhile goals and attachments?
Come on, madam.
Is life worth living without devotion to worthwhile goals and attachments?
Is life worthwhile living if you are not attached to worthwhile things? Oh, for God's sake. You see, you are really not interested to investigate or understand and see if the mind can be free from attachment. Look, my son is dead. I have been attached to him. I put all my energies, my hopes, my intentions, the desire for immortality in that son. And he is dead. And I go through suffering. I don't talk about reasons, worthwhile this and worthwhile that. I want to find out. And I see where there is attachment, there is suffering. Right? Whether to furniture or to God or to worthwhile values. Right? Then I ask myself, is it possible for the mind to be free from suffering and therefore not attached? You understand? May I go on? Not, I can go on. But you have got to live it. You've got to see it. My son is dead, and I've been terribly attached to him. And when he's gone, I feel very lonely. And I escape from that loneliness in order not to suffer. I go off climbing the mountains, reading books and churches and drugs and sex and everything in order to escape from that suffering. And that's what mankind has done. Spread a vast net of escapes. And in that net we are caught. Intellectual, emotional, sentimental, romantic, illusory net. Now I see that net has no value at all because it hasn't solved the problem that my son is dead and I'm suffering. Escape festers that suffering. Right? Right, sir? And also, I see, in attachment there is fear. In attachment there is jealousy. There is bitterness. There is anger, hatred. Haven't you noticed all this? No? And I also see that mankind has made an opposite. That is, be detached. Now, please follow this. Is there an opposite at all to attachment? There's an opposite between man and woman, night, darkness and light. I'm not talking of that for the moment. Is there an opposite to attachment?
It has to be an opposite, otherwise it wouldn't exist.
Huh?
It has to be an opposite, otherwise it wouldn't exist.
There has to be an opposite, otherwise it wouldn't exist. What?
Who said?
Aristotle. He's quoting Aristotle. Aristotle apparently, according to him, has said, opposite must exist. Otherwise, what is non-existent. Listen to it carefully, please. The opposite must exist, otherwise what is non-existent. I am attached, and the opposite is detachment, and if there is no opposite, there is no attachment. I'm afraid even Aristotle can be mistaken. Just a minute, sir. We are going into it, sir. We are examining it. Please, have some patience. I am asking, is there an opposite to attachment? Or has the mind invented the opposite? Because it does not know what to do with what is. I am attached. I don't know what to do with it. I'm caught in it. I'm in despair with it. And I say to myself, I will be detached from this. That is the opposite. Right? And I'm questioning, why does the opposite exist at all? Because I've only what is. Right? Why should I have an opposite? Why should I have a duality in this? It may be because I do not know how to resolve this problem. Therefore, I say the opposite, by going for that, struggling to be detached, may help me from detachment, from attachment. Therefore, I say to myself, I'll forget the detachment. It is not a fact. The fact is I'm attached. Right? That's the only fact. The detachment is a verbal non-fact. So I have to deal with what is, not with what should be. What's that? No, sir, I'm not saying. First, please, I am saying something very simple, sir. The fact is attachment. That is what is going on. Detachment is a non-fact. It's something I've invented in order to get away from the fact. Let me put it the other way. Another way. Man is violent. Man is violent. Human beings are violent. And we have non-violence, the opposite. The opposite is not a reality. What is reality is violence. Now, if I know how to deal with the actual, then I won't go to the to fiction. I'll deal with what is. Because if I have an opposite, there is conflict between the two. Oh, sir, come on. And of course, sir. So man is not well, of course he's not constantly violent. There are occasions when he's quiet. That's, what, sir? What? Why is a speech? What? Peace. I never talked about peace. I'm talking about attachment. That's the only thing I have to face, attachment. And in that observing attachment, in being aware of attachment, I find there is sorrow, bitterness, anger, jealousy, annoyance, hatred, violence, and all that. That is the only thing I have, not the opposite. That we must be very clear. If I say there is the opposite of attachment, then that opposite creates a division between attachment and detachment. And therefore there is a conflict where there is division.
So, the observation, the fact of attachment, which is suffering, there seems to be a lack of empathy.
Yes, sir. No. I find that my son is dead, and in that there is sorrow. That sorrow is the outcome of my loneliness, my loss, my sense of lack of companionship, and so on. And from that suffering, I try to escape, and if there is no escape, I become bitter, angry, furious, cynical. Right? That is the problem. Now, what is the mind to do? It has no opposite. What's that?
Attachment and non-detachment are merely the creation of thought.
Don't go off to thoughts, sir. That's one for. Let's look at it differently. To say to myself that is the action of thought doesn't help me to overcome my suffering. That's mere rationalization. I suffer. Now, just a minute. Can the mind not suffer? Not become brutal. I don't mean build a wall around itself so that it not suffer. Attachment, loss, suffering. And that suffering arises when I have felt lonely and I have filled that loneliness with my son. Right? Right? And when that son goes, I am at a loss. And the sense of loss makes me suffer. Don't give me reasons. I know all the reasons. Then I say to myself, attachment has brought this about. I know nothing about detachment. You all may do, but I know nothing about detachment. And I say to myself, what am I to do? I won't escape because that's futile. What is the mind to do? Go on, sir.
The only thing to do is to adopt another son, because we don't have the strength to overcome our attachment.
What, sir?
The only thing to do is to adopt another son.
Another? Huh? So you people are not serious, for God's sake. To adopt another child who also may die, or get crippled, or become insane, or crooked politician, or become a guru, same thing. If you are serious, sir, please give some attention to this. So mind says, what is it to do? No escape, no opposite. You see what's happened? Escape is a wastage of energy, right? The opposite is a wastage of energy because it creates a conflict. And the mind needs all its energy to understand and go beyond suffering. Right? So no escape. Can the mind remain with that suffering without any movement of escape or duality or try to find the rationale of it? You understand my question? I suffer. My son is dead. I suffer. Can I remain with that suffering without any movement of escape? Because any form of escape, the worship of a god, going to church, reading a novel, trying to say, yes, my son will live next life and I'll meet him next life, or he will be resurrected and I will also be resurrected, we shall meet in the cloud. All those are escapes and wastage of energy. Right? And what am I to do? I show you, right? I have no escape.
You look at it without any motive.
Or
You look at it without any motive.
any?
You look at the fact without a motive.
Yes, sir, we've said that. Can the mind, please listen, remain with the fact? Now, what is the fact? Please listen carefully. The fact of suffering is the word has created the feeling, right? Or is it an actual suffering? You have understood? Is the mind facing suffering? Or does it face what it calls suffering because of a word called suffering? You understand? You understand, sir? The word is not the same. The description is not the described. And is suffering a word or a reality? So, I must find out whether the mind is caught in words. The words may be an escape. So I have to find out whether the mind is capable of being free from the word and therefore capable of looking at what is without the word. This is not an intellectual game. Because words play an extraordinarily important part in our life. A Christian, immediately you have an image. German, communist, a black man, you follow? Oh, these are words. And we think by using these words we have understood. So can your mind be free of the word? Free of the word, suffering as well as violence. Right? That requires attention, you understand, sir? It isn't just a plaything. Then if it is actual, not the word that is stimulating the feeling, then can the mind remain with that fact of that feeling and not move away from it? When it remains with that feeling, you have a tremendous energy, haven't you? Which has been dissipated. And when you have that energy, then what is suffering? Is there suffering? You know, the word suffering has its root in passion. If you look into a dictionary, you will find it comes from the word passion. Not the passions which Christians have made, but the actual word of it, meaning, the semantic meaning. Now, when you remain with suffering, when the mind remains with totally, completely without a movement, When the mind remains with the fact and not with the word, with the fact of that feeling of great sorrow, without any escape, out of that comes passion. And without that passion, you can't do a thing. Right. So, let's look at it differently. We've all been hurt, haven't you? Hurt from childhood. Our education is a series of hurts. And can the mind look at those hurts? Because one hurt is as many other hurts. There is only therefore one hurt, not the multiplication of hurts. That one hurt is good enough. Can the mind look at that hurt without a single saying, I want to hit back. I want to build a wall around myself to isolate myself in order not to be ever hurt. But remain with that fact, not with the word. Then you will see that you have great energy to go beyond it. It doesn't then exist at all. Right? Do it, please.
And this passion has a source other than suffering.
What's that?
And this passion has a source other than suffering.
Yes. Is there a passion which is not suffering? Yes. Is there a passion which is not the outcome of suffering? There is lust. There is the intensification of pleasure, which you may call passion. But that's not passion. Suppose one takes great pleasure in doing something, climbing a mountain, achieving, fulfilling your talent. Great pleasure. That's not passion, is it? Because passion goes with compassion. Compassion means passion for all. You understand, sir? Compassion is that. That compassion is different from taking a great intense pleasure in doing something or fulfilling your particular little talent. Now, is your mind free from attachment? You understand? Attachment to an ideal, to a person, to an experience, however great that experience is. Attached. Now, just listen. Is attachment in the present or in the past? I am attached to you. is that an active present, or is it a past anchorage in you and a remembrance? What's that?
Is it not a link between past and present?
Is attachment a link between the past and the present? Yes, sir, we'll find out. I'm asking first a question. You are attached to your ideal, or to an image, or to a symbol, or to something. Is that attachment an active movement in the present, or is it a remembrance of something of the past? Is it a remembrance or active present? You understand my question? Like action is active present. It is in the present action. And if your action has a motive, it is not in the present. If your action has an ideal and you are conforming to that ideal, action doesn't take place. Because action is always active present. To act, the verb to act, is in the present. Now, we are asking, is it an attachment? Is it a remembrance, therefore, out of the past? Or is it a living thing that's going on, alive?
Obviously in the dead past.
Obviously, the gentleman says it in the past. What do you say? If you examine this, please, you'll find lots of things. If attachment is a remembrance, that means in the memory, stored up in the brain cells, then that attachment is from the past in the present, right? Therefore, the present is a movement of the past. Therefore, it's not present. I wonder if you get it all. It doesn't matter. Look, sir, I'm attached. I'm attached to you. You're nice looking. You give me pleasure, sex or companion or whatever it is. And I'm greatly attached to you. That attachment is the past, isn't it? Because I walked with you in the woods. And it gives me great pleasure, a delight, to point out the beauty of the mountain, the shadows, the wide open fields, the birds singing. And I tell this to you, and it gives me great pleasure. And I'm attached to you through that pleasure. And that attachment is a remembrance, because when I walk the next time, you're not there. And I say, oh, I wish you were here, or he were here. So attachment is a remembrance. And I'm asking myself, what is the relationship of the past remembrance of an attachment to the present. Or is the present a continuation of the past? Is this all becoming too difficult? So if it is a continuation of the past, what is the relationship between the two people? You understand? The mind, the brain is living in the past, right? Of course. Memory is in the past. Knowledge is the past. Knowledge in the present can be modified or added to, but still knowledge is always in the past. Right? Oh, come on, sir. Somebody's... So, my life is being lived in the past. Right? I live in the past. So I don't know what is the present. I don't know what is the fact, because I am living in the past and facts are always in the present. Right? So I look at the fact always with the past. So I color the fact. That means, can the mind live wholly in the present? Now this is really not a speculative, silly question, but it requires tremendous understanding of the past. You know, the philosophy, forget the past, live for the present. Enjoy yourself for the present. You can't live in the present if you don't know what the past is and whether the past can end in the present. Therefore, you have to find out in the inquiry of attachment whether that attachment is a strengthening remembrance or a fading remembrance, which is always strengthened by the present, or there is no attachment when there is a living present. You see something? I'm just discovering something. That is, when the mind is wholly living in the present, there is no attachment. Right? See it? Come on, sir, move with me. It's only the remembrance of things past. The remembrance of my attachment. The remembrance of my son. And my attachment to him. The remembrance of that loneliness. The remembrance of being left alone, no companion, no somebody to whom I can give all things, all my desires, and so on. So the moment when the mind sees that, is there attachment in the living present, in the active verb of that word, living. I have lived in the past, and I will live in the future. But I do not live now. Because all my mind My brain is the product of the past. The brain holds memories in the cells in the tissue, and that memory dictates my life. The living. And the living, is, if it is dictated by the past, is not living. Right? Am I going on by myself, or you're all following this? As we said, this is a dialogue. Two serious friends who have known each other for some time, talking about their difficulties, their problems, and trying to go beyond them. Not verbally, not intellectually, but actually to transcend, to go beyond this problem of attachment with all its sorrows, with all its aching, anxious, fearful loneliness. And in the understanding of that, the mind sees that it's always living in the past. And tradition is the past, and therefore betrayal of the present. So can the mind live wholly in the present, in which there is no attachment? You understand, sir, this is a psychologically very important question. That the mind, psychologically, there is no future. You know what that, when you realize psychologically there is no future, what a shock it gives you. You understand? I know you. I'll meet you tomorrow. And I have pleasure of meeting you tomorrow. Sexually or otherwise. All the images of sexual pleasures. There is no tomorrow. That's all. You follow what takes place. Either you go into a despair that there is no tomorrow psychologically, or you realize something which is immense, which is every action ends today. There is no, I will do something tomorrow, or I must be that tomorrow. I wonder if you understand this. Just see what is implied. Psychologically, there is no future. The saying, I am today and I will be tomorrow, or I will become great tomorrow, when the psyche realizes that tomorrow is the movement of the past through the present to the future. You understand? The past through the present modified is the future. If the mind lives in that time period, it lives in the past. However much modified it is, it's always the past. When the mind realizes that, not verbally but deeply, inwardly, with all its fullness, then tomorrow has no meaning. It has a meaning. I have to go tomorrow to London or some, but we're not talking of that, at that level. But the so psychological effort to be something tomorrow ends. You are or you are not. And it's a very hard thing to realize. Goodness is not tomorrow, it is now. It's not, I will be good. Then when you say, I will be good, you are never good. So the mind has been educated, conditioned through education, through society, through culture, through religions, that there is God in heaven and you will achieve, you follow? And when you realize that tomorrow is what has been yesterday and modified, then you see that your whole existence is in the past. And when you are living in the past, there is the conflict with the present. And that conflict never ends. But when you see the truth that there is no tomorrow, physiologically, when you are doing something like learning to ride a bicycle, there is a tomorrow. Right? Of course. If you are doing yoga postures, you need tomorrow to make your muscles supple. Learning a language, how to drive a car, learning a function, there is a tomorrow. But psychologically, when one lives in tomorrow, you are really actually living in the past. And the present is in conflict with the past. Of course. And to end conflict, really deeply, at the very roots of your being, realize that there is no tomorrow. And then our whole action changes. Therefore, every day there's an ending of everything that you have done. And begin a new tomorrow. You understand? Right.